Hello there, I'm Tom Hanks, and this is a box. And this is Barnacle Nerdgasm. Tom Hanks approves.
Warning, Tom Hanks does not approve.
Hey, what's up Nerdgasm fans? Jerry here, aka Barnacles, and today we're unboxing a tube amplifier for my headphones. If you guys have been following my channel, you know I just picked up a pair of HiFiMAN HE500s, and I also picked up a pair of HD800s by Sennheiser. And I need an amp really to drive them to their potential. So I went with the Woo Audio WA7 Firefly. It's a really cool integrated amp and DAC, and I'm really excited to use it. And it's a very heavy box, so something in here's got some weight to it. So let's go ahead and crack it open and take a look at what's inside. All right, I'll just take my trusty scissors here. Scissors probably not enough. There we go. A knife. That should do the job. Or open the box! Okay, that might be a little overkill. Let's go back to the knife. Ah, that's better. All right, let's open this thing up. All right. It's like Christmas every day in the man cave. Oh, no wonder it was so hard to open. I opened the bottom. Woo Audio Inc. All right, let's turn it over. So, as usual, you have a box inside of a box. It's boxception. All right. We got a Woo Audio box. WA7 Fireflies. I mean, nothing fancy at the box. You can tell that they didn't really care to impress anybody with the box, but that's usually a good sign. Now, I've been really excited to get this thing because I've been running my headphones off of the Xonar STX sound card that I have on my computer, which is a killer sound card, but I wanted something that was actually dedicated. Here we go. We got some instructions on top here. Shows the different types of power connectors and how to connect them, and my shipping invoice, and all kinds of good information here. Let's see, what do we got on the back here? Showing how to connect up the tubes so you don't screw everything up, and how everything's packed in the box. All right. Now, just so you know, these guys actually hand build these tube amps here in the United States, which is really cool. They're based out of New York. Another awesome reason to buy from them. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Really nice contoured foam to hold everything in place. Wow. Check that out. Everything's just like perfectly boxed into the foam. It's really nice. And then here, handle with care. This is glass. This is a solid block of gas. And solid block of gas. No, solid block of glass. To protect the vacuum tubes, so you can still see them glow and everything like that. But when I get drunk and throw stuff around the man cave, I'm not going to shatter them, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and set that down right here. And we have the amp itself, which, oh my god, if you can believe it, this thing's got to weigh 8 to 10 pounds. That is super heavy. It feels like a solid brick of steel. So we'll go ahead and take the wrapper off that once we get it out of the box. That's the amp itself. And then here is the power supply, which feels like it weighs almost as much as the amp does. Oh man, that is just insane. Just for weight alone, I cannot believe how heavy that stuff is for how small it is. And then here in the bottom, we have two Savtech made in Russia vacuum tubes. These are probably like 50 years old. Okay, and that's everything that's in the box, guys. Nothing else. Kind of hoping it came with a USB cable, but luckily for me, I think I have a ton of those. All right, go ahead and set this aside. Now, rule number one of audiophiles, guys, because I'm just now getting into this, is you always keep the boxes nice. You notice how I was a little more careful with that box than usual? It's because at some point, this is all got to be meticulously boxed back up for resale 20 years in the future if I want to. If I don't want to sell it, I still have to keep the boxes. Otherwise, no other audiophile will take me seriously. All right, so on the back of the power supply, we have the AC inlet. It's awesome. It has a slow blow fuse. Let's see, 400 milliamps at 115 volts. And then here we have the DC output, which is the dangerous side that kills you. And then it came with the cable right here. And this is the transfer the DC power from the power supply to the actual amp. Now, they do this for a couple reasons. One, to make the amp look nice, which I'm going to unbox right now. Oh man, that thing is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This camera is not going to do this justice, guys. Very heavy too. Oh my god, the weight on that is insane. I've never felt something, I mean, it's like a gold brick. I've never felt anything this heavy and this small of a size. It's probably full of water. Probably not. Anyways, there's the DC input. And then they have the power supply here. They basically have the port and the cable separated so that you can conceal the power supply somewhere else to make this look smaller. And it also keeps all the interference from the AC current away from the amp so that you get a cleaner signal. So let's go ahead and take a look around the unit itself here. The amp itself on the back has a right and left channel that can be either an input or it can be an output. So I'm going to use those as an output to my mixer board so that I have a second channel going in beside my sound card. That way when I'm playing games, I can use the Xonar STX. When I'm listening to music, I can use this bad boy. And on the back, it has a power button, on and off. And then it has a high resistance and low resistance, depending on what type of headphones you're listening to. Now, and it has a USB mode, too, where you can plug in a USB code. And this is a 32-bit, I believe, 192 kilohertz. 92 or 96, I can never remember. It's basically got the DAC built into it. On the front, it's as simple as just having a single knob, which turns butter smooth. It literally feels like it's just sitting on oil. Very, very smooth. And it's got two plugs on the front, one for an 1/8-inch mini jack and one for a 1/4-inch jack for like professional headphones. And then, of course, on the top, you have the two slots for the 6C45 vacuum tubes. This is the first vacuum tube amp I've ever owned. I didn't even have a vacuum tube amp when I was a kid. So I'm actually really, really excited about this, guys. And again, I cannot tell you the weight on this thing. For something that's designed to just drive headphones, this one little block here weighs more than my entire 5.1 stereo receiver, if that's any indicator. All right, well, that's cool. Let's do a little walk around again. Well, we already did the power supply, didn't we? It's got a voltage selector on the bottom. Do not screw that up. Right now it's set to 110. Thank you, Woo Audio, for getting that right. And it also says do not block the air duct on it because this thing actually does need to vent. And then we have the glass block. Let's go ahead and crack this open. Ugh. And it is literally that, a solid piece of glass that goes over the vacuum tubes and is held in place by the lip on the sockets. So the two tubes will be down in here in these holes, and you'll be able to see them glow when the amplifier is on. I mean, pretty badass. And it came with a cleaning cloth, because after I'm done with this review smearing my finger butter all over it, I'm going to want to clean it up a little bit. So first impressions right out of the box, guys. Super, super heavy. Definitely feels like quality. The knob, I have a lot of things with knobs on it, and I've never felt a knob turn as smooth as this one does. This one is like just very, very little effort. It moves and it stays put. So that's awesome. And it can drive both types of headphones, so I don't have to use a stupid adapter anymore when I go from like my MMX 300 headphones I can plug in right here, and then my Sennheiser HD 800s and my HE 500 HiFiMANs can plug into the other one. And I don't know if they both work at the same time. We're going to find that out together during the course of this video. So let's go ahead and install the vacuum tubes and get this bad boy plugged in. All right, let's install some vacuum tubes. So take off the glass casing on the side. Take a look at our awesome vacuum tubes. Or actually, they call them electron tubes in Russia. There she is right there. And looking at the pins on the bottom, they're keyed, so you can't screw up the installation. Watch me screw it up. No, there's only one way the tube can go in there. It's just like that. Okay, that's one tube installed. Man, these are some old-ass looking tubes. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have no idea how this magic works. I just like it. Alright, so this one needs to go just like this. Get the pins all lined up, and in she goes. Okay, there are both vacuum tubes. I'm going to go ahead and clean those off with the included cloth. Now, there was lots of options when I was thinking about getting this getting a tube amp. And there's a couple different directions I was going to go. But one, I wanted to try an American company. And Woo Audio looks like they're awesome. And I read a lot of reviews, and people love Woo Audio products. And the other thing is this WA7 Fireflies is like purpose built for like a desktop, like for a PC desktop. And that's what I really, really liked about it. So let's go ahead and put the glass cube on top. Got to drop it down nice and even. You don't want to damage the tubes. And then there they are. Now we just got to course some voltage through it and see what happens. All right, we're going to go ahead and hook up the amplifier, which this cable just clips right on there and it screws on. Both the cables screw into place. Very, very nice connection. Turn this around. Okay. They're keyed to only go in one way. So there we go. We have the amp and we have that plugged in. Now we just need the power cable to go from the brick to the wall. And I don't know if that was included in the box. Let me check. Alright, so maybe that's an audiophile thing, but there was no cable included in the box. It's a standard computer type cable. Maybe they don't include it because some people like to use really high-end cables, or they're just completely Nazis about the cables they use. That's the assumption I'm going to go with right now, but it did not come with the power cable for the AC side. So I'm going to go ahead and go grab a power cable and I'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and grabbed a power cable. It was just a standard PC power cable, and I also noticed it didn't come with the USB cable. But that didn't really surprise me because a lot of people using this aren't even going to use the USB feature. But I went ahead and grabbed a USB cable. And again, it's one of those things where I think the reason they don't include the cables is because audiophiles have really, really high preferences. Like, not me, I'm just now getting into it a little bit. But a lot of them, you read the forums, and it's like some of them believe like having a different, like a $500 power cable is going to make all the difference to the audio quality in the world. Me, on the other hand, I will just stick with the practical stuff, like good electronics producing the sound. How the power gets there, I'm not too concerned with. And I'm probably going to get flamed by a lot of audiophiles for saying that, but so be it. So let's go ahead and flip it on. We've got the power. Should probably clean the glass. Oh, she's so pretty. Such a pretty amplifier. All right, so flipping the switch on. There we go. And we can see inside the tubes are in fact glowing. Let me turn out the lights so you guys can see that. There we go. So all the lights are off in the room. It looks like the tubes are getting brighter as they warm up too. And right now I don't have any headphones plugged into them. So the next step is, now that we've got this hooked up, let's plug it into the computer and see if it gets recognized. Okay, so I went ahead and plugged in the WA7 Firefly, and you can see under Device Manager right here, I have USB 2.0 high-speed true HD audio device. So it doesn't have a driver in box, so I went and downloaded the driver from their site. You can see they have drivers for different operating systems. So let's go ahead and open Setup. This should be a fairly straightforward process. All right, welcome to Install Shield. Install my USB 2.0 audio device by C Media. Let's go ahead and install that. All right, looks like it's installing drivers. All right, it says I need to restart my computer now. But if you look over here, I now have a USB 2.0 high-speed true audio device, which I didn't have there before. So let's go ahead and reboot, and then we'll give this thing a try. All right, so I finished installing the drivers. Those went on absolutely easy. I rebooted the computer, fired up a music file, and it worked right off the bat. One thing I did do was install Fubar 2K, which is a really cool audio program for playing FLAC files. And I went ahead and installed the ASIO driver. It's like ASIO for all. And it basically allows you to send the audio directly to from the sound card to this basically amp without having to go through any of Windows mixing. I just wanted the cleanest possible sound that I could get. And this little guy amazed me. The first off amazing thing that you notice is it gives off some heat. This thing, you can warm your hands over this thing on a cold night. I mean, literally, these are like two little smokestacks just pumping out heat. And that's because of those vacuum tubes. And no doubt, that is a big contributor to the power on it. Now, I have 3 sets of headphones here that I tested it with. The first set is, well, actually, let's go from cheapest to most expensive here. How about that? So, these are my MMX 300s by Beyerdynamic. And these are my go-to headphones for when I'm doing recordings and stuff like that, because it's got an integrated mic that's actually really good. But the sound stage on them quite literally sucks. It's almost non-existent. But the sound quality itself is good, and the bass is rocking. So if you want good bass, these are decent. Then here I have the HiFiMAN HE500s. Now these are planar magnetic, so completely different technology. You can go watch my video review of these. I have reviews for all 3 of these headphones on my YouTube channel. And these are cool because the sound that they produce is fairly unique. They produce a lot of bass, but it's like a really tight bass compared to the MMX 300s. And they produce really, really good mids and good treble, and they're a very warm headphone. The sound that they produce is very warm. And it's great for listening to like rock and roll music and stuff like that. And I actually really, really like these. The problem is they're super duper heavy. But I won't get into individual reviews. Now, the one thing I noticed is the Firefly drives these really hard. It's got more than enough power to drive these guys, I mean, like amazingly, just running off the little jack, because that's all this thing uses. If we plug it in here, kind of get an idea there. You can hear them playing. Okay, now watch this. So we're going to turn the amp down. Now we're going to plug in the HE500s. Now these are power hungry little bastards. So, you know, I didn't expect them to be that loud. All right, so let's go ahead and plug these guys in. Now look, I got these way over here, right? I mean, I could set these on my desk and listen to the music. That's how loud they are. But what really shocked me was the Sennheisers. The Sennheisers apparently don't need as much power to run, so they're even louder. Now, this isn't even a loud track. This track's playing at about half volume on the equalizer. But just amazing how loud it is. I mean, it's so loud it's uncomfortable to even put on your ears, and I can barely hear as it is. But sound absolutely amazing. So, some things to note besides how powerful this little thing is. I mean, it quite literally will make your ears bleed depending on the headphones you have. If you have HE500s and you crank it up all the way, it's just on the edge of uncomfortable, but it's good. But with these, if you pump it up all the way, it's going to make your ears bleed. So, another thing to note is if you plug in any of the headphones, even with Windows booted, plugged in, and the sound system all online, with my STX sound card, my Asus Xonar STX, when I turned it up to 100% volume at 300 ohm, you would get a little tiny bit of a hiss in the background, and if you moved around the mouse or did stuff, you'd pick up noise from inside the computer case. Now, when I plugged this guy in, I cranked it all the way up to 100, plugged the headphones in, and I can't tell the difference between plugged in and unplugged. That's how dead it is. There is zero noise. Between the way that they do their power supply, I don't know how they can get it that clean, especially with USB. I'm using a fairly shitty USB cable, and I still have absolutely no noise. And I'm serious. You plug in like earbuds, you can plug in these, you can plug in these, you can plug in these, you can put your ear right up against the driver as close as you can and silence the whole room. You're not going to hear anything. And that's really cool, because when you're listening to music that has silent spots in it, before, you know, you'd kind of get like this really loud music, and then it would stop for a second, you'd hear a little bit of it in the background. Nothing. That is dead silent. You even have to check to see if your damn headphones are plugged in. So, huge credit to them. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video because it's getting pretty long as is. And with audio reviews like this, it's really hard to show you and illustrate just how good it is. But let's go ahead and just recap the points here that are really cool. This thing, it's super duper heavy. You put it on your desk, it's not going anywhere. You can plug and unplug stuff from it without having to hang on to it, because the plug is really resistive. I mean, you plug it in, there is a positive engagement. It supports both the small jack and the large jack, which is awesome. So if you just have your regular headphones that you want to listen to, you can plug those in. But take note, they don't both work at the same time. As long as the 1/4 inch jack's plugged in, the smaller 1/8 inch jack doesn't work. So, and they alternate back and forth. Also, you don't get the same amount of power from the little jack as you do the big one. The big one pushes a mighty punch of power. So if you have headphones that use the smaller jack but can handle more power, I don't even know if those exist, to be honest, you probably want to use an adapter with the larger jack. The vacuum tubes are cool. I think it's awesome to see something on your desk that's glass and has 2 glowing tubes in it. I think that's awesome. There is no audible hum that comes from the power supply or this unit. It is completely dead whisper silent. But like I said, it does put off heat. You're probably not going to want to set this thing under your monitor, for instance, because it will build up heat. And other than it being completely aesthetically pleasing, the knob on it works absolutely fantastic. The switches on the back, are high quality mechanical switches, and everything on it just feels rock solid. You can tell that a lot of quality went into building this, and it works great with all of my headphones. But I will point out a couple of downsides, and those downsides are, for gaming, I don't really recommend it because the driver that installs in Windows is very basic. The only virtual surround that you can enable is through the Microsoft processor, which doesn't work particularly well. I tried it in Battlefield 4. The STX just walked all over it for gaming. But if you're listening to music and you're a huge music buff and you just want this guy sitting in your corner driving your cans, absolutely fantastic. Also, another place that I may take this is put it on my nightstand in the man cave bedroom, because the audio quality and the compactness is just amazing. I think it'd be cool to have down there too, and just plugged into all my audio sources. But the one thing that another slight downside, again, if you're a gamer, now remember, I'm just speaking from a gamer. I don't know how many gamers out there buy audiophile grade stuff. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. But I tried to use like Razer Virtual Surround, or Razer Surround. It's an awesome software. If you haven't used it before, I'll try to link it in the description. It generates the most realistic surround sound I've ever heard with a stereo headphone. Like, it's just absolutely groundbreakingly amazing. You even calibrate it so that each pair of headphones, you get the sound coming from the right direction. It didn't work with this. The audio was like really, really hitchy and jerky and messed up. I don't know if that was because it was a USB audio sound card, but it just had massive problems with it. But it worked right off the bat with my STX, and for that reason, I would recommend the STX for gaming. The STX, if you take a Xonar STX and couple it with a really high-end pair of headphones, install Razer Surround, you have an amazing experience. I can't even tell you, especially in Battlefield 4. They spent so much time on the sounds in that game, it just blows my mind how realistic and how open it sounds. And you can clearly, like if a tank's driving in front of you, you can hear that it's in front of you, you can hear how far it is away. Don't ask me how the hell it works. It's like completely magic voodoo to me. But it's epic. But in a nutshell, let's go ahead and end this. I'm going to say the Firefly amp is completely killer. It's small, compact, built well, doubles as a heater. So if it's in the wintertime, hey, put it in a cold spot. It'll keep you warm. But the sound quality on it is amazing, and I've never had any amp in my life that you could crank the volume to 100% ear bleeding level and not even hear the faintest hiss, vibration, or anything. The headphone is completely dead. And even on the HE500s, where you hear every tiny little detail of everything, completely dead. There is nothing coming out of this amp except for the sound that you're playing. Alright guys, hope this video gave you a nerdgasm. Would have had the video out sooner, but unfortunately I spent about 4.5 hours listening to music, and another probably half an hour playing Battlefield 4, like playing around with it and just seeing how things work. So I don't like to recommend things without thoroughly using them, and I'm going to tell you right now, I do recommend this. It is a hell of a product, and if you're an audiophile, just look at that. That thing's so badass sitting on your desk. I mean, and other than it just getting a little on the warm side, I think it's epic. And hell, it doubles as a headphone warmer. The pads on my headphone are warm right now. Alright guys, take it easy. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, favorite, and subscribe. It helps me a bunch. Also, come follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I love interacting with you guys. T500s you can pick up brand new for I think about $700. And you can find them used for right around $550, $600 on AudioGone. The HD800s retail for $1,400. I was lucky enough to find a refurbished model on Crutchfield for $1,100. But you can still see that's a several $100 gap. So needless to say, I have huge expectations for these headphones, and I hope they meet them. Alright, well let's crack open the holy grail of headphones here. Now just to let you guys know, I still haven't gotten my tube amp. It doesn't come until Friday. So I'll be testing